everyone, this is Amy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I do just a very simple design with a number 14 and a 12 Amagic paintbrush. They're flat brushes. A number 10 Deerfoot stippler and a fine liner by Wistonia. All these items are going to be listed down below my video. If you want to purchase any of those through my affiliate links, please feel free to do so. I'm going to be using all FolkArt paints, combination of enamels and multi-surface. I will be using yellow ochre, tea berry, burnt umber, fresh foliage, wicker white, and I'm sorry if I repeat this one, but thicket. I don't know if I said that one or not. Alright, so the beginning of this process, I'm going to actually dip the front part of my Deerfoot stippler into the yellow ochre, the back part into the burnt umber, and then tap it on my palette. I'm going to begin by tapping in the centers of each flower, and I'm just making a circle. I'm not going to focus too much on these right at the moment because I am going to then go back over them. So I'm just getting them started for the placement of my designs. So there's different ways to use this brush. You know, it's up to you how kind of the center you want, but there's different ways to use this brush. And if you watch my videos, you'll see that I don't always do it the same way. Sometimes they're similar, but you can do it in a round design or you know, half moon shape kind of design, whatever you want to do. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is put my number 14 flat brush into the tea berry. Just going to dip a little bit of it into the wicker white, and then I'm going to go around and just do the basic push down and pull. I like to turn them in different directions just to kind of give it a sense of movement a little bit. At least a little bit of movement. So they're not all just straight. Kind of curve them and come around. And they can vary in size too. They don't all have to be the same size. There's a little bit of a lip here on the glass. I don't know if you can tell, but that's why the design or the stroke is kind of messed up a little bit because of that. Alright, so I'm going to just keep going, do the next one. Now, when you're doing these also, you can stop at just one layer, or you can put more layers over the top. The flower design I did on my paper, because I always do my designs on paper before I paint them on the glass. I have 3 layers in it. So you could do all the same color like what I'm doing. So I'm using the white and the tea berry, or you could find similar, maybe different shades that are similar to this color, and then add those so that you can differentiate the different layers. That's up to you. And this bottle that I'm using right now is one that I typically use a lot for videos. So when I'm doing my designs, I will then wipe it off and create another design on it for the next video. But the main thing when you're painting on glass is to make sure you do clean your glass well. Go over it with rubbing alcohol so that you make sure you get all of the debris, anything that's left over, you know, just to make sure that it's clean. That way your design will adhere nicer to your bottle. Alright, so now I'm going to go right here and just make another layer. And I'm just trying to kind of go in between the previous petals a little bit, or as much as I can. Like that. And then I'm going to go back over and just keep doing this. And you can still see them. Like I said, if you want to just kind of rotate a little bit and add more white to some of them so you can see them better, that's great. Or, you know, add just the tea berry to make it a little bit darker. That's great too. Again, up to you, however you do it. You can also vary your brush sizes. I'm just using the one brush to create the petals for the flower. If you want to make the petals actually different sizes, go ahead and maybe use 3 different size brushes. If you're going to use or do the 3 layers, a different size for each layer would work. And keep in mind too, when I'm doing all these layers, this is giving it a lot of durability because the paint is going on thickly. Alright, so then the next thing I'm going to do is come do my final layer. At any time, if you are done and you don't want to add the next layer, feel free. And actually, I think on this one I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow ochre, a little bit of white, just to give it some variation. And I know people say a lot of times, well, you don't show how you're doing. I'm just sticking my brush into the paint and painting. I'm not doing any special blending. I'm just actually literally sticking my brush into the paint and painting. And maybe just tipping it in a little bit, not a lot. Tipping one side in. If you don't like adding the extra color, then just leave it out. But I like giving it a little bit of a some added interest. Okay, go like that. Don't have to do full strokes. And at any time, if you feel like you need to just go back and darken it up a little bit, you can always use your liner brush too. But sometimes that people will actually do their liner brush just to put a little bit of maybe a lighter or a darker color on the edge of the petals, just so you can distinguish between the layers. That's good too. But I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm just going to do what I'm doing now and continue on. Alright, so we have those. Next thing I'm going to do my little liner brush. Love my liner brush. Stick it into the thicket, stick it into the fresh foliage, and I can just come back and tip them in whenever I want. This is not difficult because they're, on this item, they're pretty packed in here still, so you don't have a whole lot of room to add. And we'll just come down like that for the bottom stem. If you don't want to actually have a stem, that's fine too. You can always do just the flower heads and the leaves around the flowers too. That always makes a pretty design. All right. So while I'm at it, I'm going to do just some little pulls. And I always call them that. I'm sure there's a more specific name to be using, but they're just little designs I'm using that I'll eventually add other leaves to for my design. And you can make them, I try not to make them straight, but you can make them however you want. Give them some curve. I actually do a little curl on the end. That's really, again, up to you. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is put my brush one side into the thicket, one side into the brush foliage, and I like how these look with a little bit of this yellow ochre in them. So I'll probably do 4 colors, or kind of reverse back and forth with 4 colors. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Down here, I'm going to do a basic leaf, but I'm doing just quick wiggling. Quick wiggling. The only thing bad about this is that you have to add so many different colors. I'm going to turn the bottle, and I'm just going to do it back over here. Now you can actually go in and out if you want to create more of a ruffly look. Like this is more of a straight. This one's a little rufflier around the edges. Up to you. Both sides do not have to be the same. To me, it's actually more fun to make them a little different. Make sure I'm on the screen here, sorry. And then I'm doing it again. Pushing my brush down and just wiggling very quickly. And I'm going to come back here. Do the same thing again. And come down. Like that. And if I wanted to do this, I could. I'm going to come up here. I'm not going to do a lot. Like I said, my flowers have basically taken on a good part of the space here. And I picked up pink in that because I went over that flower, but that's okay. If you don't like the pink, you can give it some dry time and go back over it with your original colors. I'm okay with the pink though, so I am just going to leave it like that. I'm going to come up here and do some quick wiggles. Come like that. And then turn my bottle. Again, hopefully you're getting all of this. Sorry if I'm going off camera here a little bit. Alright, so I'm just going to go through here. I just picked up some of the yellow ochre and did my stem. If you want to put a couple, you can go like this. I will pick up pink. If you're doing wet on wet, most likely you're going to pick up the color underneath. Again, if that's not your thing, then give it some dry time with the heat gun, hair dryer, or just simply let it truly have, some time to dry, maybe an hour or 2. Whatever you want to do. Very simple. Alright, and then we're going to come over here and just do a little bit over here at the top. Also, I need to point out that I am a lefty, so if the direction I'm starting in is difficult for you, please take time to actually practice going the opposite direction, because I'm doing what's comfortable for me as a left-handed person. You might do better if you're right-handed going the opposite direction. So I just want to let you know that, just in case you're doing it and you're finding it's tough and you're wondering why it's tough. That could be why. Alright, we're doing that. Alright, so I'm just going to kind of wipe my brush off a little bit. I'm not wiping it a lot. I'm going to go into my fresh foliage. Just load this same brush, and I'm going to come over it here with some just basic pulled in some pink, not a big deal. You can make different size leaves, different shapes. They don't all have to be the same. Do what fits in to where you're working. Alright, so I'm going to do that. And I like pulling in some color from underneath at times. Not always. There are times where I don't want to do that, so I'll end up going ahead and giving it some dry time or hitting it with my heat gun or my hair dryer just to make it a little bit easier to paint. Okay, so on this one, I'm just going over it. Again, if you feel like with the one coat, it's not giving you enough coverage. Coverage is important. Now I'm going to go back through. I'm going to go into my liner brush and come back in here and then just do my little pulls. Keep in mind, I like to do some like a little extra stragglers. I don't know what they're called, just little, I give everything my own name. Not too worried about what the real names are. I should be probably. But you can see, you know, I'm just kind of coming in here, going into, as I have some different colors mixed in with my paint as I've been working here. The only problem is with some of these, if you'd make them too thin, they're not going to have good quality ability to hold up because they are thin. And trust me, if you want your design to hold up, you need to make sure the coverage is good. It makes all the difference in the world. Now when you're done painting, give your project, if you're using the FolkArt paints, give your project some time to cure. I would say at least allow about an hour or so before you would bake it. Always place your items in a cold oven, one that's not been turned on yet. Make sure then that you add your preheat time to your bake time, and don't turn the oven on though for the preheat time until you're ready to, or that you've actually put your glassware in already, because you want to make sure that it definitely does not get heated up until then, because the main thing you have to remember when you are painting on glass, what ends up damaging a design is putting the glass in and it breaking because of the temperature changing too quickly. Alright, so one last thing we're going to do is go in and touch up the insides, the center of each flower. And I'm just doing the basic, loading it the same way I loaded it before. The only thing with doing this is, this might be another time that you want to give it some dry time, just purely for the fact that the colors underneath might come up into your design if not. But I always, when I do this kind of a flower, like to go back over it just to tidy up the center and not look like, you know, just kind of gives it a good finish when you do it. Your centers do not have to head in the same direction. And your flowers can be pointed in different directions just like they would be in a real bouquet or a vase. And we're almost done. So thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and finish up this one. I really needed to add some more paint to my palette, but I'm not going to because I don't want to waste it. I'll put the little stamp there. Now, what you can do if you want, just kind of do the front part of the brush into like white or another color and just lightly come in here and just give it Just pounce on it a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Again, that's up to you, but I like that. Alright, so we're done. I hope you liked this video. If you do, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. New to my channel, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. And before you leave, if you would take a moment to share this video on your social network, I would greatly appreciate it. Just hit that share button you'll find underneath the video, and it'll give you the options of where you can share it. Pretty simple.